The Beautiful Betsy was an American World War II B-24D Liberator named after the original pilot's wife Betsy Roth. In 1944, Betsy was overstressed during a storm, and she also received damage during a difficult landing. These separate events led to her retirement from combat. She was subsequently modified for use as a training aircraft for parachutists before being disarmed and stripped of her paint later that year. She was in active service for eight months and took part in 25 missions. Betsy's missions then involved flying throughout Australia, collecting fresh fruit, vegetables, alcohol, ice cream, and even live poultry to relieve the monotonous Darwin diet of military personnel. These flights were known as Fat Cat runs. Betsy set out on the night of the 26th of February 1945 from Darwin to Brisbane, but she never reached her destination. It is suspected that she crashed just on daylight by the 27th of February 1945. You are now facing the tail section of Betsy. It is believed that the aircraft was in a shallow descent, having cleared a higher ridge to the northwest. After having observed their low altitude, the crew opened up the engines to emergency power, but it was too late. Just before dawn, Beautiful Betsy crashed midsection first, with her nose slightly lifted in an attempt to climb out of the descent. Time and weather conditions are crucial factors in explaining why the crew were descending before the crash. It is speculated that adverse weather conditions may have forced the crew to descend below cloud, or Betsy may have been experiencing mechanical difficulties. What we can see here is the tail section is the only portion of the fuselage to be intact. Its inverted and backwards positioning suggests that it was snapped off at the moment of impact, as the centre of the aircraft struck first. Both wings are also fairly intact, particularly the wing on the left. This suggests that they snapped off on impact and provides further evidence that the aircraft hit midsection first. The spread of debris up the hill indicates that the aircraft did not crash nose first. The engines have careened a few further 100 metres uphill, which suggests a midsection crash, and the fine pitch of each propeller blade indicates that the aircraft was at full power when she struck. The aircraft took off on the 26th of February 1945 from Fenton in the Northern Territory, bound for the Eagle Farm airfield in Brisbane. It departed into stormy weather and was never seen again. Attempts to search for it were made in North Queensland, its last reported position by radio. All attempts failed to spot any trace of it, and a year later, on February 27, 1946, the 8 missing crew members on board were officially declared missing, presumed dead. A later search in the 1960s was commissioned when a group of 3 Aboriginal men claimed that they'd found a crash site at Roper River in the Northern Territory. Unfortunately, upon returning to the area 5 days later, they couldn't locate it again. The aircraft lay here the entire time, not found until August 2nd, 1994, nearly 50 years after the disappearance, when a park ranger was checking up on the results of a controlled burn-off in the area and saw something metallic glinting in the sunlight to his north. A team from the US Army recovered the remains of the 6 American and 2 British airmen, and they were buried in the Arlington National Cemetery in September 1995. The site was then opened as a public memorial. So this is one of the 4 engines that have been thrown uphill 100 metres from the point of impact. This reflects their great mass and the force of impact that tore them loose from the wings. The distance from the tail section to here indicates that the aircraft was travelling at a very high velocity when it crashed. Various geared components in the engines have actually been driven through each other. No parachutes were open, no radio distress calls were transmitted, and the landing gear was retracted. This indicates that the crew did not have time to respond to the impending crash until the last few seconds. Definitely an aircraft part. You can see the safety wire. This is a BC348 radio receiver, part of the SCR-287A radio system when paired with an appropriate transmitter, capable of single sideband reception between 1.5 and 18 MHz in the HF band. It was used for long-distance communication with ground services via either an antenna wire between the top turret and vertical stabilizer, or a long wire antenna reeled out behind the aircraft. There are a few other boxes in the area, but this is the only one still in a recognisable condition. And the fourth one near the other two.
Oh yeah!
Well, it is what the sign said. Well, this is the wall. It is what it says it is.
Slow here, slow. Keep going.